أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم ينفعنا بما علمتنا ولم ينفعنا وزد علما يا كريم يا رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
My
apologies for starting a little late this morning. Alhamdulillah, we're here for our sixth class on this hadith, going over the hadith of Imam Nawawi rahimahullah and covering the collection of hadith that he has. And so last week, just as a review, anyone remember the hadith we covered from last week? What was the topic? Remember the Prophet said that, sorry?
Womb of the mother.
Right. Prophet said that we are created in the womb of our mother for what? We have 40 days of al-alaqa, 40 days of a what? Al-nutfa, and 40 days of a mudghah. Right? So these are all different stages of the way the embryo is developed. And they said we have a total of 120 days. And then after 120 days, what happens?
Soul. They put the soul.
Right, this angel is directed to come to the stomach of the mother and or the womb of the mother and blow into the soul of that person. And we said there was an issue with that, right? Not an issue, but there's a topic that we could talk about. What was that topic? Abortion, right? In terms of, before 120 days or after 120 days, what do the scholars mention about that? And we went over 3 different cases. Number one is that we say it's haram in general for having any type of abortion. Or just having abortion, because that is a soul, that is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, mentioned in the Quran that He puts this embryo, or this fetus, or this egg in a safe place, and so therefore you should have the baby. And we even talked about some people asked me, how about if you find out, those mothers out there knows that you take a test early in the pregnancy to find out if the baby has Down syndrome. Right? They do this test and they check the fluid between the neck here. And if there's a lot of fluid, then they said that most likely your baby will have Down syndrome. And so someone asked, can I abort my baby if I do find out that the baby's going to have Down syndrome? And we said no, that you should not do that at all. Number one, the doctors could be wrong. We would love if that's the case. And a lot of times they are, with all due respect to the doctors. But number two, that this could be the test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you, right? Maybe He didn't give you a sickness. He didn't give you a handicap, but maybe now your child will have it. And I know it's very tough dealing with that. I mean, that's a test that nobody would want. But, this is one of the tests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving for those parents. And they should go ahead and have that child and, of course, care for it. And any mother or father will care for that child very much so. And then we have the case in terms of rape. That does happen. Scholars have said, yes, the mother can abort. Of course, before 40 days is good, if not up to 120 days in general. The mother should find out that she'll be pregnant much before that, by taking tests and so forth. So we talked about that. And then we talked about the third other case that we talked about, if the mother's in danger of her life, right? Okay, if you keep on having this pregnancy, guess what? You're going to probably be risking your own life, right? Because maybe something might erupt in the womb, you might have bleeding. We said this is also a case where she could abort the baby because they take the less of the 2 evils. One of the principles that we have in Islam, if you have 2 evils, then you'll take the less of them. If that's the case. But of course you should consult with a scholar before you make these decisions and so forth. So today's class, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go over hadith number 5 and 6. So we're going to do 2 hadith today. Hadith number 5 is very short, and number 6 is a little bit longer, but we'll go over that inshallah ta'ala, and I hope we'll benefit from it. So we have from the first hadith number 5, where on al-mu'minina, al-mu'minina, Abdullah, Aisha, radiallahu anha, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. رواه البخاري والمسلم. So في رواية المسلم من عمل ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned on the authority of the faithful, of the mother of the faithful, the mother of Abdullah, Aisha radiallahu anha. So Aisha was the wife of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And so she said that I heard the Prophet say this statement. What's that statement? He said that he who innovates, makes something new in the matter of our Islam, our religion, that is not of it, will have it rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? In another version, as mentioned in Sahih Muslim, another hadith collection, he who does not act, he who doesn't act, which we have not commanded, will have it rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So obviously this hadith is talking about protecting the religion from people innovating new things, right? Someone says, you know what, wearing this ring on your finger has to be part of the religion. Growing your hair for this long, wearing these type of clothes, all these different things. We all know in our religion, people do a lot of different things. Like you have to read this book, you have to read this passage before you go to sleep. You know, Allah will bless you, Allah will give you this type of reward. So we want to make sure that, we have we protect our religion. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created our religion complete, right? We don't need to add anything to it, right? We say Islam is about ibtida'. Islam is about following and not innovating something new. That's why you join the religion to follow it, not to go in the religion and say, oh, maybe I think we should do this more. I think we should pray more this way or pray this way, if you will. Because that's already done already. You just have to jump in the vehicle and drive and go forward, if you will. You don't need to change the engine or the oil. That's kind of cool. You don't have to change your oil, right? And everything will be fine. So here we go. So let's break down the hadith a little bit. Or before another thing, just a little point here. This hadith is part of what we call it Jawami' al-Kalam. Jim, Waw, Alif, Mim, Ayn. Jawami' al-Kalam. What does Jawami' al-Kalam mean? The Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith that Allah has blessed me with concise speech. Jawami' al-Kalam. Which means that you can say things very, very short, but you can write a book about it. Because it has so much meaning that's just like pushed into it. And this hadith, you can see that, even though it's a one-liner, pretty much, whoever innovates something that's from the religion that's not from it, it is rejected. But from there, you can have tons of principles from that, right? You can just derive so many lessons from that, if you will, right? And this is from one of the hadith. I don't know if you guys were here. Some of you guys weren't here the first week. But the first week we said that Islam revolves around, the scholars have mentioned, revolves around 3 hadith. If not 4 hadith are the main principles of Islam. So it said one of those hadith is this one right here, right? That also the one about intentions, this hadith, and other ones, if you will. Because this hadith has so much, basics of it that we could derive from it, if you will. Okay? So I just wanted to mention that. So let's go over the hadith really quick. See the child. So here the Aisha radiallahu anha says that the mother of the faithful, the mother of Abdullah, Aisha radiallahu anha. Now what is it, why do they say the mother of the faithful for? One thing is that all the Prophet's wives are considered our mothers. Okay. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that in Surah Ahzab, chapter number 33 in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Azwajuhu, his wife, talking about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is ummahatuhum, are their mothers, if you will. So why? Because of that respect we should give to the Prophet's wives, in terms of how we should treat them, how we should talk to them if they were alive on our time, or we're alive during their time, right? And how we should do that, if you will. Right? And that's why you see sometimes there was some sects or some groups of Muslims that came after the Prophet ﷺ that spoke very ill of the Prophet's wives for multiple reasons, And that's something that obviously that we don't take lightly. It's like somebody talking about your mom. Nobody would like that, right? You'll probably step up and you'll say something to that person if they make fun of your mother or say something about your mother. No one talking about their mother, right? Especially here in America, it's a very common thing, right? And so here, it's the same thing here that this we call all the wives of the Prophet ﷺ al-Mu'mineen, the wife of the believers, right? The wife, sorry, the mother of the believers. The believers being us as Muslims, if you will. Okay, so that's why it says the mother of believers, and then it says mother of Abdullah. Now, who is Abdullah? Now, did Aisha, radiallahu anha, those who studied, did Aisha had a son named Abdullah? No. She said no. Here, anyone else want to put an opinion in there?
Is there
Adopted son. Okay.
I know that the only children that the Prophet ﷺ actually had were with Khadijah.
Okay, so only the children have with Khadijah. Okay, so there's some more explaining we need to do with that one. Okay, anyone else?
Nephew, her nephew.
Her nephew was named Abdullah, right? That was from her sister Asma, right? Okay. So one thing that scholars have said that she did have a son named Abdullah. So the Prophet ﷺ had 4 daughters. Anyone who knows 4 daughters' names? Fatima,
Zainab,
Zainab, Kulthum,
Ruqayya.
Ruqayya. Very good, very good. And he had two sons. Okay, one was named Abdullah. Some people call him Tahir. Some people call him Qasim. And then also we have three different names for them, depends on nicknames or the real name. And there was another son named Ibrahim. And so Ibrahim was not from Khadija radiallahu anha. He was from one of the other wives of the Prophet, Maria, who was basically a slave that was sent to him, and he took her in from the Egyptian king at that time. That's something he asked for, but the Egyptian king actually sent this girl to him. They didn't want to become Muslim, so he thought they could give him a present or something like this. Anyhow, there's a lot to say about that. So anyhow, we all know the two boys died in their infancy. Ibrahim has mentioned that he lived up to a year and a half, and then he passed away. There's a descriptive hadith on that. But the Prophet was crying when he had passed away, and it was very it shook him a lot. But there's wisdom in that the Prophet didn't have boys. Why? Why was it wisdom that the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give, God Almighty didn't give the Prophet boys?
Because of the conception, or the idea that the Arabs had for having female children before that, how they didn't, it was kind of seen as a bad thing.
Okay.
And then the Prophet's law,
kind of see it as a bad thing. Okay. Anyone else want to?
People
Kind of
calling
leader.
the sons as the next prophet or the son of
Very good. Usually the son of a prophet ends up becoming a prophet.
Yeah.
Right? You see that with Ibrahim. You see that with Yaqub, Zechariah, Abraham. Right? We see that with others, if you will. We see that with David and Suleiman, Dawood and Suleiman. Suleiman is the son of Dawood alayhi salam. Right? So here, that's one thing, they stopped that. Another thing, people would have what? If that son wasn't even a prophet, what would people have done with that son? They might have what? Worshipped him. Look what they did to his cousin or his son-in-law, Ali. We know people take Ali as, some people even worship him to an extent, or became very pious and infallible. Some people say he should have been a prophet, and all these different things, right? So it's part of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give him any boys, because to cut off that type of maybe paganism that would have came back and people will start worshiping his son and so forth. Right? And so anyhow, so that's just a little point there. So some people said, number two, going back to what we have here, some people said that Aisha radiallahu anha did have a son named Abdullah, but he died in infancy. Some people said that she didn't have a son, and it was a name of her nephew, but maybe she was given this nickname because one of the beloved names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Abdullah, and there's another name that's mentioned in Hadith. Abdul Rahman, the son of the worshipper of the merciful, the servant of the merciful, Abdul Rahman. Right? So those are the different opinions of that, if you will. And we know Aisha radiallahu anha was the daughter of who? Abu Bakr radiallahu anha. Obviously Abu Bakr, the famous companion, the closest companion to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first Khalifa or the Caliph after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. Right? So we have some of these things there. So next thing that we have in the Hadith, the Prophet says that whoever innovates something. So innovate something means create something that new that wasn't there before. Okay? Something new. Someone comes up with a new worship. You go to this gravesite. There's a pious person that died there. Go and ask him to forgive you for your wrongdoings, or read Quran at his gravesite. Or you know what? We only have 2 holidays in Islam. We only have 2 Eids, right? After Ramadan and then during the Hajj time. Here in America, we got Valentine's Day, we got Halloween. We should have another type of Eid, if you will. So some people might say, let's make a new Eid, if you will, right? So somebody think we need to create that, if you will. So therefore, we have to check ourselves and make sure that we don't need anything else in this religion. It's already complete, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He has completed this religion for us, as mentioned in the Quran. Now, what it means that in the matter of ours, it means in terms of its rulings and its legislation. The ruling and the legislation is already done, right? We don't need to add anything to that. Well, how about if something new comes up? Someone asks, hold on, can I buy stock in this company? The Prophet never talked about buying stock before. Can we take this type of medicine, right? Are we allowed to be on a life machine, right? Did the Prophet never talked about there's going to be a breathing machine that's going to keep you alive? Are we going against what Allah wants us to? We're not going to, He wants us, we're going to die at this time, and we use a machine, is that something that's against Islam? So there's different things that were not during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. But what we do, we could derive rulings for these things from what we have in the Quran already. So we're not really making anything new, but we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to save lives as much as we can. So whoever saves a life is like to save all of humanity, as mentioned in Surah Nisa, right? And so here, that yes, you could use that if you will.
And the fact that a law takes lives as you would. Like you can't keep a life on your unless Allah.
Right, Allah will take life anything. People
You
know.
can go up to the machine as much as you want.
Right.
And if Allah will that he dies, and he dies.
He died, right? People die on the breathing machine all the time, right? Even though you're on the breathing machine and the machine is breathing for that person will still, if they want time, they'll die. Allah will take their soul all that time, and you'll see that person is dead on their bed, but that machine actually still going, but there's no pulse. It's just up and down, the lungs are going, but there's no life in the body. So that even shows you that machine is not going to help you at all, right? And so even though it does prolong to extent, but there's nothing called prolonging. We learned that from the Hadith before, right? Allah already what? Appoints your lifespan. So now you can't really expand that anymore. Right? And then the Prophet says that what? It will be rejected. Whatever that we invade something new in our matters will be rejected. So what does rejected mean? Meaning that it won't be regarded, it won't be considered. Even though you do it, there's no reward for you in terms of that. And we will not even consider it part of the religion. Okay? We wouldn't even call that part of Islam at all. And that's not, that's just something those people are just made up. It has nothing to do with the religion at all. Right? Maybe culture or something like that, if you will. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, He says, He says, وَأَنْ هَذَا صِرَاطِ مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and moreover, this is my path, which is straight. So follow it, and do not follow other ways, right? That's out there. Don't worry about that. Don't even look towards that other ways, right? For you will then will separate from the way. When you start saying, I think we do need another holiday. I think I need to worship this way, if you will. And guess what? You see those people start deviating, where they are. Like where some people say, well, what's a big deal if we have one more holiday in Islam? Like that's not going to ruin the religion. Well, that's just like the steps of shaitan to what? To water it down, right? And you like I said, he give you an inch, and guess what? Next thing you want a mile after that, right? So we want to block any doors of that. There's no need to add anything else to the religion. And especially if you guys are going to go to Hajj, you'll see a lot of funny things people will do because they don't know any better. They just want to be holy. And so you see people going to the Kaaba and they're hugging it and they're kissing it and they're trying to wipe themselves on it. And it's like there's nothing. Wiping yourself on the Kaaba is not going to get you any more reward. But I understand. You make you feel like you're more holy, I guess. You know what I mean? But people do think that they don't know any better. A lot of those people are farmers and they're from countries that don't maybe have that much education or classes and so forth. They're Muslim, alhamdulillah. So they go and do this, and that's why there's a lot of guards and Saudi guards around the Kaaba that are telling people, hey, stop doing this, right? Because they don't know any better. And so, but like I said, some people might think, oh no, if I touch the Kaaba, if I wipe myself on it, Allah will forgive me, or I'll become more holy. There's nothing like that.
So the kissing of the black stone, there's nothing like...
Black stone's a little different.
Okay.
But I'm talking about the Kaaba itself. You see people that press themselves against it, and people are just like, if they're doing that, they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I made it here. Like, oh my, I've been waiting 60 years of my life. That's understandable. But you see people that want to just grab it and they're trying to wipe themselves with it and all these kind of other, you see a lot of other funny things going on. But like you said, alhamdulillah, Allah will reward them on their intention. Maybe they didn't know or they're just excited. And if they're excited, alhamdulillah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like what the Prophet said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves when his servant of him asks for forgiveness. Right? And more than the person who's in a desert and finally finds water. And he says, oh Lord, I'm your God and you're my servant. He's just so happy he mixes up the words. Right? So Allah says, I'm more happy than this person. He's just so excited he says the opposite, right? So here it's the same thing here. If the people are excited to do that, alhamdulillah, but the thing is that obviously there's no point to that. There's no religious significance to it itself. Alhamdulillah. So let's go over a couple of things in terms of this slide's out of order. In terms of how do we know something's rejected? Because there's so many things out there. People tell you to do, you have a sickness, okay, read this verse of the Quran, drink some Zamzam water, and eat 4 dates. Like, are you serious? Like, yeah, you'll see, you'll get better. And things, some of us, like in Islam, everyone has like superstition kind of built into them, right? You know, especially here in America, we're kind of indoctrinated by it also. Don't let a black cat walk in front of you. Don't walk under a ladder, right? All this kind of stuff. It's in a part of our custom also. But sometimes people they don't like the easy things. When you tell them that, you know, I'm sick. Okay, brother, ask dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, supplicate to him. Read Quran. He said, no, tell me something else. Okay, no, stand on your head, read Quran, and then spin yourself 4 times around and you'll see it'll get better. Guess what? What do you think that person's going to pick? They're going to pick the second option. Why? Because it's spooky, it's weird. We like weird things. We think the weird things are what works, right? You know, and so the thing is that Islam is very easy. You don't even have to do these certain things. So let's go over, how do you check yourself? How do you get a checklist and make sure that if someone tells you something, is this from Islam or not? People are going to advise you during your life of all different type of things. So what the scholars have said, that number one, to make sure that whatever happens if someone tells you about Islam, it has to follow 2 things, right? To make it accepted. Number one is that has to have sincerity, that you're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to, you know, impress this other person or impress that other person or to get a job over here. That's the reason why I'm doing it. And number 2 is following the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We went over that multiple times in this class, right? You guys remember that, right? So 2 things, solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and number 2, that it's in accordance to something the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. Now the issue comes in, did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam do this or not? Someone tells you, hey, read Surah Yasin, Surah Rahman, and Surah Waqi'ah before you go to sleep at night. And you see Allah will protect you and bless you. Seriously? Yeah. Do this every time before you go to sleep. Watch, you'll see it works. You'll do good in your business. You'll see you won't get sick. Allah will give you more blessing. Guess what? Person's like, wow, I'm going to start doing that. Well, did the Prophet say that? Did the Prophet do this? I don't know. I'm not a scholar. I don't know. So the thing is that the scholars have said, you know what? There's a 6-point checklist that you should go through. So let's go over that really quick. Number 1 is the purpose and reason. Okay? So you have to make sure the purpose and the reason is from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? Why do I have to read this at nighttime for? Right? Oh, because you'll get cured. Or you'll give you more wealth. Right? And so that you come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, if I'm going to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, that's a good reason. So that checks off for number 1. Now in terms of giving more wealth and give me a cure, I don't know. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. Right? So the purpose of what? That's something that we can either reject or accept. Okay. Number 2, in terms of category. What does category mean? Is it something that we know in terms of the acts of worship that we have in Islam? So the person told me to do what? Read what? Surah Yasin, Surah Rahman, and Surah Waqi'ah. That is from the Quran. So he said, no, what? That checks out. That's fine. Because that is something we know from the Quran. So that follows a normal category of worship that we know of. Now, if the guy told me, no one read this verse in the Bible, and read this, say this statement of one of the scholars that said this, he made this statement, if you say that 15 times, you do good. Then we know that, hold on, this is not from the category of worship that we know of, if you will, right? But since that person told me about what? The Quran, these verses, the chapters, then that checks out. Now, number 3, measure and quantity. What does measure and quantity mean? So he told me to recite it, let's say he told me to recite it these 10 times. Like, is there something special about 10 times? Why not 5 times? Why not 15 times? Why not just 1 time for it? Where did you get that 10 times from? Oh, okay, here now we have question mark. And maybe you didn't pass this test here, right? So now we have some problems here. How do you know 10 times? How do you know 1 or 3 or 5? Where did you get that number from? Oh, I just don't worry, just do it 10 times. Okay, well, now we have an issue, right? Number 4 is form. Form is terms like, do I have to read Surah Rahman and then Surah Yasin and then Surah Waqi'ah? Could I switch it up, right? Oh no, you have to recite it in this way. So form also means, like, for example, if someone tells you to pray, and you know what? Make sujood first and then make wudu. Seriously? That's how you're supposed to do it? Yeah, it's a special prayer. I don't know about that. No, there's a special form that we know that's the way you pray. You don't do such before you do ruku. You don't do prostration before you do bowing or something like this, if you will. So it has to follow a certain form. So why do I need to recite this surah first and that surah second or that surah last? Then that needs to be checked out. So that brings another question mark. Number 5 is what? Time. What did that person tell me? That you have to recite this what? At nighttime before you go to sleep. Why at nighttime before? Did someone say that? Can I do it during the day? No, you have to do it before you go to sleep. So therefore that's another thing. So that brings up another question mark. Where did you get that from? And number 6 is place. Okay, do it before you go to sleep. And then before you go on, you lie down on your bed. Okay, so do I have to lie down on my bed? Could I be standing up and saying it, if you will, right? Could I be driving my car and saying it? So all these different things, you have to check and see this. Whatever someone tells you something, does it check off from all these 6 things? And I know it's a lot of checking, if you will. But this is what you have. Scholars have mentioned. If it follows these things, then we know that it's something from the Prophet ﷺ. And of course, if you're not able to prove all these different things, then you have to ask a scholar. Someone told me I need to recite this, right? Is this true? The person will tell you, no, this is not something from the Hadith. It's not something from what the Prophet said. And then hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, we'll correct that for you. Any
question?
Yeah.
Does Salatul Tasbih has to, encompass all these 6 points?
So there's a prayer called Salatul Tasbih, where you pray, and then in each part of the prayer, from the standing, from the bowing, from making the prostration, you say like Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, 33 times or X amount of times in each position, which is very different than you ever see any type of prayer before. So some of the scholars said, where did this come from? So this has been kind of debated if this hadith is authentic, that the Prophet prayed this way, or he commanded this way, or it was from Islam. So you see that even at masjid, sometimes during Ramadan, they'll do Salatul Tasbih. Everyone's going to do it in a group, they'll do it together, if you will. So that's something that there's a difference of opinion on in terms of it is authentic or not. So it depends. If you ask this group, they'll say no. If you ask this group, they say yes. Right? So we say that's a matter of ikhtilaf, of difference of opinion. So there is proof for it, and there's not proof for it, if you will. So it's not something that someone just made up. So we won't say it's totally like that, even though this group will probably say that. So there is some type of some room for that. I may have to look that up a little bit more. So there was a question, someone asked me this question the other day about that also. Good. Any other thing? Anyone else have any questions about this? Hope that kind of clears up a little bit about stuff that we see in the community, and you want to know what's going on.
Nowadays, then WhatsApp and everything, there is driving crazy, that you have to send to 7 and 12 and 20
those are called chain mails or chain
this
texts.
this is getting weird,
Yeah, if you ever get one of those emails that if you really love Allah, send it to 10 people.
Yeah, 10 people, yeah.
That's not going to show your love of Allah or not your love of Allah.
Yeah.
That's going to show your love for that person to send that, or how much time you have on your hand. And if you have 10 friends who are going to like you after you send all these texts to them, and you're still spamming them, right? So there's nothing like that, right? I've got those emails. If you love Allah, then send this, If you don't, then it shows that you don't love Allah, if you will. I mean, that's not. I mean, it could be recommended if you do something like that, but no, it's definitely not something from Islam, something like that. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's good. That's good also. You don't need to necessarily follow that. Okay. Good. So next thing we have here, this one. So here we say that so the thing is, what is the default ruling of things, right? The Prophet said that, whatever's not from a religion is rejected, right? So we say the default ruling in terms when it comes of worshiping, right? That in terms of praying, in terms of read this because it's an act of worship. Read this book. Say this 15 times, right? Slaughter this animal and Allah will bless you because it's act of worship if you do this, if you will. So we said that the default of worship it's prohibited. So I said, stand up over there and pray, automatically rejected. Right? Everything is rejected until there's a proof for it. You understand? See how the mindset is? Right? And everything is rejected in terms of worship, except what? There's a proof for it. I'm not going to pray. I became Muslim, I'm not going to do anything. Okay, you need to pray 5 times a day. Okay, why is that for? Right? Well, tell you this, we have a hadith of this, there's a verse in the Quran, or etc. Okay, now I'll do that. Okay, you know what? You need to wash before you pray. Okay, where did you get that from? Okay, well, know what? Allah says this in Surah Ma'idah, wash before you go to, where is it in the Quran? Okay, good. So the thing is that you're always kind of on the defense. You do it etiquette. You don't tell a person like, you're wrong. Why are you telling me this for, right? But you do it etiquettes. Say, oh, how do you know if that's true? Like, can you tell me if you will? Then you go on. It's not the opposite. Okay, I'm just going to do it, and later on I'll find out. You understand what I mean? So the fault of ruling we said is man'a, yani it's staying away. It's prohibiting anything until there's a proof from it from the religion. Now, when there's in terms of any act, in terms of other ritual acts of worship, right? In terms of clothing, in terms of the way you decorate your house, the food you eat to an extent, right? All of it's permissible unless there's a proof for it, against it. You understand that? So someone tells you, no, brother, you should wear white clothes and stuff like that, it's better for you. Okay, that's fine. I could go ahead and do it, I cannot do it, it's whatever. That's just a recommendation, nothing to do it. Nothing to do with worship, right? Wear a hat, don't wear a hat, whatever. It has something to do with worship, you're going to reward, you're going to get sin, that's different. Oh, your carpet in your house should be white. Why? Because the angels like white carpet. Oh, okay, I can do it, I cannot do it, whatever. If I find that to be true, then good. If I find that to be true, then whatever. But that has nothing to do with acts of worship. So when it comes to these type of things, in terms of your clothing, in terms of your, anything else, the way you decorate your house, your car, food, etc., then it's all permissible until you know. Someone gives you a plate of food, you eat it, right? Until you know that, hold on, there was pork in it, or there's gelatin in it, if you will. Can I ask one of you if you could just go into that fire alarm thing at the side of the wall? Just press any number, like 5 or 4 or 3, it'll just go off, inshallah.
You don't know.
Huh?
No.
Yeah, it's on the other side. Yeah, down and down, inshallah. I don't know, it just goes off randomly every time, I don't know why. So that's the way we know. So basically I'll break it down for you a little bit more, inshallah ta'ala, so we make it a little bit clearer. So I have a little slide here that kind of breaks it down. So in terms of acts of ritual worship, which we know that Allah has legislated, of course it's permissible. Hajj, fasting Ramadan, praying 5 times a day, if you will. Okay. Number 2, that which has not been legislated. Stand on your head and read this, if you will. Stand in the sun. Slaughter this 5 animals and Allah will bless you with a child. That sounds kind of weird, right? If you don't know, then that has nothing been legislated. Now, number 3, kind of goes what I just said right now. If that which we do not know has been legislated, then we stop, right? It's just like Salatul Tasbih. Someone says, brother, we're going to pray Salatul Tasbih. I haven't heard about that prayer before. Where did that come from for? These are like, can you tell me, before I involve myself in it, because I don't want to do something that Allah hasn't ordained me to do, because the religion is complete, then could you tell me where that comes from? Oh, there's a hadith here and so forth. There you go. I've not talked to the sheikh. He knows the proof of it. And he said that we're going to pray that in about 10 minutes, if you will. Okay, then go ahead. You can find out, ask him, and then you can follow it, if you will. Otherwise, guess what? You don't go ahead and do it. Someone calls you up and say, hey, pray Salatul Tasbih right now at your house, right? You'll get reward for it. Okay, unless you really trust that friend, you know he's knowledgeable or something like that. Otherwise, then you know it's prohibited, you stay away from it. Because when it comes to act of worship, the default is caution, right? Because this is something that's very, very sacred. You just don't add anything to worship, right? Very, very sacred thing. You don't want to mix up the perfect formula that Allah made for us, if you will, right? Because that formula in that cup or that plate of food that Allah made for us, if you will, if you want to make an analogy of this, has all the spices and ingredients and recipe it's complete. You don't need to add 1 bit of salt to it or a little bit of pepper to it or anything, right? It's done. So therefore, you don't want to add anything to it because what? You're going to mess up the taste. We all know this, right? So the same thing here. The religion is like that. You don't need to add anything to it. So that's why we're very cautious. Here, brother, here's some salt. I don't know. I don't want to mess up this plate of religion I have here. No, it's okay. Just do it. It's okay. No. Allah gave us completely. This is what's going to get success in this world and hereafter. I'm just going to eat it the way it is. I'm just going to take it the way it is. I don't want to add any water to it or any spice or anything that's going to dilute it or mess it up. That's how our ideology is. Now, in terms of other than ritual worship, right, things and actions that we do, then what? Like I said, that we know has been legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is permissible, right? Allah made us, you can wear a yellow shirt if you want, you can wear a purple shirt if you want, you can wear a hat, you can wear a sock, you can wear sandals, you want to wear boots, right? There's openness for that. There's nothing wrong in terms of that, in terms of you get more reward for that, or you don't get more reward for that, if you will. Number two, that what has been not legislated. Right? For example, we know that you can't wear pigskin, right? Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, said that, that has been prohibited for us, if you will. Other things that, you should walk around with a cross on, right? Make people think that you're Christian or something like that, right? That's something that wouldn't be good, right? So, and then number three, that which that you have not know if it's legislated or not, is permissible. So it said, the thing is that you could go ahead and do it, right? Can I wear short sleeve? Can I wear long sleeve? Go ahead. It's not nothing to do with the acts of worship, if you will, right? Do I have to paint my house this color? Can I drive this type of car? Can I wear this? Can I do that, if you will? Then that is nothing to do with act of worship, right? Can I eat this type of fruits? Can I eat this type of food? One thing that we know, pork and alcohol, that's true, right? But otherwise, the default is that it's permissible until someone tells you something. That's why I said when you go to someone's house and they offer you a plate of food, you eat it. You don't say, hey, is this halal? What store did you buy it from? Is it hand slaughtered? Unless you go to a non-Muslim person's house, then you know that that's not the default. The default is that they don't buy halal food, right? So you don't know if that meat's been actually slaughtered the right way or not. But you go to another Muslim's house, the default is what? It's permissible. Number three. See? The third principle kicks in. I don't need to ask him anything else. Unless he says, you know what? Oh, I bought this from Albertsons. I didn't get to go to the halal store, but do you eat this type of meat? Then okay, that's different. If he tells you that, that's another thing. You can make your choice to walk out or say, I'm just going to eat the broccoli or something, and that's it, right? But number three is just you don't have to ask that person, and you don't have to, investigate anymore, right? That's also another thing when we go to like restaurants and they have the halal sign. So you can take that in. Unless someone tells you otherwise, I ate there, I had the sign that says halal, that's it. Right? I don't have to question, can I see your freezer, can I see the label on it? No, you don't need to do any of that anymore. Right? As long as they know that they have the sign there, they tell you it's halal, then alhamdulillah. Unless they tell you something else. Right?
Same goes for the grocery stores because, the stories being, for the grocery store, the meat shop,
Mm-hmm.
But we heard that this is not the right meat. Should we, use this?
Well, like the halal meat and grocery store,
Yes.
someone told you it's not the right meat?
Yes.
Oh, that's true. If someone tells you something, that the guy, he's not being truthful, right? You know how terrible that sounds. So, but if he's not being truthful, or I don't know, he just buys it, and he puts a label on it, and he sells it, then that you should take action at that, if you will. So that's a whole different story. That's what someone tells you, but you don't need to go question the guy and do anything else unless someone tells you that, if you will.
But here they cannot do it.
Yeah, okay. Well,
In this.
well, there's legal conflict. There's false
there are
advertising.
legal complications.
Definitely.
There is Super King in this
Restaurant.
Super King on Indian Hills
Yeah.
in Montclair. They used to claim, this is halal.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then they investigated that this is not halal,
So,
and he was in big trouble and he was sued
oh wow. Right.
big time.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's the stuff goes on.
And he was selling the liquor there. In that grocery store, he was selling the liquor. So how can you buy the meat there? So that's the fun.
It's okay to. I'll make a point on that. So if the guy sells liquor, it doesn't mean that you can't buy the meat from him. That's just bad in general. We go to Albertsons, they have a whole aisles of liquor, and you go there buy some bubble gum or some Fruit Loops or something. Doesn't mean you can't buy Fruit Loops from Albertsons, right? But anyhow.
No, but he was claiming that he was.
That's another story. That's another story. So let me ask you guys this. Now you guys learned this. Let me give you guys a case study. I want to make sure you guys learn. So here we have Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He decided to take the Quran or take the parchments of the Quran, or what people memorized, and put it in a book form. Okay? During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it wasn't in a book form. You couldn't open it up, you couldn't read from it. People memorized it. We had some Sahaba, some companions of the Prophet that had some sheets of Quran, and this person had another sheet, a bunch of sheets that they wrote down, this person had a bunch of sheets. So, when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he went and put the Quran in a book form, is that innovating something new in religion? So if you tell me no or yes, you guys are judges now, right? I need proof. So I need to tell you why that's is not innovation, or it is innovation. And if it is innovation, it's okay. If it's not innovation, why is it not okay, or vice versa?
I would say it's not an innovation, whatever he has put together what Prophet ﷺ got from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he did add or subtract anything in it, he just put them all together. He's
Right.
not saying something new.
Right.
It's
Right. So one thing that we have, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, if you read the story, he said, I was very hesitant to do something the Prophet never did. Because during the time of the Prophet, couldn't he just say like, hey guys, let's put it in a book form so we could send it out anywhere? Like, he could have done that. Not like he never had that idea, like, wow, that's an amazing idea. I didn't think about putting it in a book form. That's a very simple idea, right? Put it on an app or something on a phone, that's another thing, right? But put it in a book form, it's not like, oh my gosh, Bob never thought about books. He didn't know about books in his life. No, of course he did, right? So he could have had that idea, but no one, he lived 63 years of his life, at least as a prophet, he was 23 years of a prophet, but he could have done that, but he never did that, right? So if the Prophet never did it, so someone might say, right, to kind of check your statement here, someone might say, if the Prophet never did it, guess what? I'm not going to do it. Remember we said that, how is an act acceptable in Islam? We said two conditions. Number one, what? Sincerity. And number two is following what? Prophet did. So here the Prophet never did it, right?
But
So-
he did have them written down. He just didn't collect them together.
Okay, all right. But he had
But the idea of writing them down is something that he did.
He did, definitely. But he had, like I said before, he had the ability to say, guys, hey, let's put it together. I've been a prophet this long, whatever. Or because, you know what, I might die soon, or you guys might forget, right? So let's get them all together and put it together and make sure that we at least have something. So the other nations before us, they lost it and they changed it up and so forth. So he had that ability, but he didn't do it. But yes, he did write it down though, but never put it together in a book. So how would we say that? So you guys are there. I just need some more explaining though, in terms of.
It is a new thing.
Sorry?
It is a new thing. It was, she said it wasn't a new invention, but I said it was a new invention.
Okay, it was new.
Yes.
So right or wrong?
Right.
Right. So it's new. So according to this hadith, it will be wrong. It will be rejected, right?
Meaning, you asked the question, was it a new invention?
Oh, okay.
So I'm giving you that.
Right. So I want to know the ruling though.
Because the ruling was the sincerity. Because
Okay.
it was behind this compiling of the books, these two rules were considered.
Okay.
Sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Right.
and then the purpose,
Right.
why we are collecting, why
Right.
we are compiling this Quran.
Right.
And then they did with all the Sahaba.
Right.
Like they did it with full information or whatever you'd say, full research.
Right.
So they didn't just do it.
Oh no, definitely. That's true.
Part of it has to do with credibility as well. It's not just, there wasn't just some, random layman Muslim who was like, hey, let's put it into book form. It was the people who were the closest to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Very good. So in terms of hadith, anyone who innovates something new in a religion is rejected. So this hadith won't apply.
No.
Because we have this hadith and we just studied it.
It's not really, like, in here, it's not, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's an act of worship to take it and
Now you're getting to where I want to get. There you go.
And it hasn't been legislated or not legislated, so therefore it's
Very. What was the two categories you said here?
worship and
One's an act of worship, and one's what? A non-act. So putting the Quran in the book form is what? Now you guys understand now. So it falls under what? Number 2, the second part, and what? Number 3, right? Where that which says not has been legislated is permissible, right? Prophet never said that you couldn't do it, you're not going to do it, which we don't know has been legislated. That's why it's permissible. It's a book. Now someone says that you only could read from this book in prayer and you can't do anything else, and guess what? Someone's making an act of worship now. They're saying like, oh, we're just collecting it, if you will. That's it. But prayer is still that you stand in prayer and you still recite from your head. We're not changing that. So that the prayer is still remaining the same, right? But I'm sure we're just making a book here that you could read it when you're at home, whatever. If you want a big book, you want a small book, you want to make the cover yellow, you want to cover blue, that's all the second half here. That's not acts of worship. So that's why I want to take you guys to take these principles and then apply it. That's what I kind of was trying to get you guys to do.
What about the idea that you have to be in the state of wudu to hold the?
So that's a verse in the Quran. So that's
It's in the Quran?
yeah. So that's a verse in the Quran. So that's not something new that they added on. If you
Because it wasn't in book form at the time, so I didn't know.
right. So they have parchments of it.
Okay,
And so
that
there's a story of Omar radiallahu anhu came to his sister's house and she said, "Don't touch it, you're not clean." So, but then yeah, so some scholars have debated about this and stuff. Right? Like
The actions is that Abu Bakr, is it number 2 or number?
so it's in the second category, other than a ritual of worship. So that's one
I
category,
know.
secondary.
No, but is it point 2.2
Point number 3.
or number 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
which we know Allah has not legislated,
Yeah.
which we don't know if it has been legislated. So that number 3, we don't know if it has been legislated. We know that it was legislated in terms of writing. The Prophet let that, like Brother Dalen was saying, that the Prophet let people write it on pieces of paper and so forth, right? So we know that. But in terms of putting it in a book form, then we know that the Prophet never said, "Do not make this in a book form."
Yeah.
Okay, that would be under category 2. We never said that. We don't have any statement like that. Well, we have number 3. We don't know. Abu Bakr said that I didn't want to do something the Prophet never did. He didn't say I don't want to do something the Prophet said not to do. He didn't say that. He said I don't want to do something the Prophet never did. So therefore, I'm hesitant.
Is it the point 2.1 and 2.2 kind of like a bit swapping? I think is it number 2 not less legislated and prohibited? I think.
So something we know Allah has not legislated in terms of mean that he
and
has
then prohibited.
Yeah, basically that's what it means, yeah. So Allah said, do not, like, obviously, like, we know that we can't wear this type of clothes, we can't eat this type of food, right? So, that's number 1, that's number 1, sorry.
So I think it's kind of like a bit.
It's kind of like, okay, I see what
Right?
you're saying. Yeah, I see the wording,
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a bit swap.
that which
probably.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not legislated.
I think number 1 should has legislated should be prohibited, and then
Yeah.
not
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
legislated.
Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited is prohibited.
Yes, so
that's
this
kind of what
would
it
be-
means, yeah.
Right?
Wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made permissible is permissible.
That's
Yeah. So I use the word not legislated, maybe not to make this.
So it's kind of like a bit swap, I think,
Yeah.
between 1 and 2.
Right. So in terms of the book of the Quran, will follow number 3, though. We don't know.
Yeah, that is correct. I'm just talking about number 1 and number 2.
So here we have the case here where some people say, I know if you guys been in Ramadan, we have people holding the Quran in prayer. You ever seen that before?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that?
I looked that up a while back actually, like when I started praying, because I was like, I hadn't memorized anything, so I was like, can I hold the Quran while I pray so I could read from it? And I looked up videos and they were saying, no, because then, you can't keep your arms crossed like you're supposed to in prayer, and you're busy holding it, and you have to.
Right. You might be a very special, I might be a little bit more special case. But, okay, we'll take that case maybe later on. But in terms of like the people who know, and they're behind the imam, but they're in Ramadan and they hold the Quran and they're reading, or some people pull out their phone. Some people have iPads, right? And so, how about that? Where does that follow under?
I feel like you would be as focused,
Right. Well, some people say that I needed to focus. And that's what people do that for, because I can't understand Arabic, so I can at least read it. Guess what? If you can't understand Arabic, it doesn't matter if you're hearing or reading it, you're still not going to understand it. Right? So here's that, hold on. Does that follow under what Allah has, for the first category, which Allah has not legislated? All right? Or which we do not know has been legislated, guess what? Right? So if people know these basic principles, they won't do it. Because this is an act of worship. You're in an act of worship.